So welcome to the intermediate class today. Our theme this week is, in Sanskrit, the word is samskara. It's related to the idea of karma as well. And karma isn't necessarily what everyone thinks it is. It's like you do something bad and you're going to get slapped for it. It's just the concept that actions have reactions, they have responses. And whatever we do leaves an imprint in the world, and things tumble out of that and have an effect. So often when we do things that aren't helpful or aren't good, they come back to us in that way. But it doesn't always work that way. It's just that um, there are consequences to our actions, to our words, and to our thoughts. And so samskaras are habits. They're things that we develop from our families, from our lives, from just going about our business. We develop habits, right? And some habits are super helpful, like doing yoga, I think is a very helpful habit. And some habits are not so helpful. Lots of habits, and I'm sure you have some in your life that you know aren't that helpful. And we often think about getting rid of bad habits. Um, and the idea today really is to think about what you want in your life rather than what you don't want. It's always better to move towards what's positive than moving away from what's negative. Right? So the idea that we have some control, but if we don't exercise that control, then we're usually digging it deeper into unhealthy habits unless we're really focused on moving away from that. It just seems to be our human nature. So so when we notice that we're moving into those bad habits, rather than beating ourselves up and creating more bad habits around that, have something in your mind that you know is helpful. So for instance, if you're trying to quit something that's not working for you, so we'll use smoking as an example for instance, because a lot of people have trouble quitting smoking, rather than thinking about the loss of, oh, I want a cigarette and I can't have it, the advice really is to find something that helps you to replace that, that's healthy, that feels good for you. So when you have that urge, instead of having to push something down in yourself, which is usually the opposite happens, is it comes back with more of a vengeance, is what do I want to reach for that's helpful for me, what's good for me. So today when we practice, we're going to keep that in mind. Just what do I want to move towards in my life, and dedicate the effort of the practice towards moving in that direction of what you want, rather than loss. Because you know our so-called bad habits are things that have worked for us at some point. There are things that have been coping mechanisms often in difficult times. And so just to get rid of them is not so easy, and it's not so helpful often, right? We need to replace it with something else. So we're going to dedicate our practice to moving forward and creating new imprints. You know, the more we do something, the more it's imprinted in our systems, and the more we tend to keep doing it. So creating new imprints today in our practice. We're going to start on the ground today. So see you on the mat. So you don't need anything to begin with. We're going to just sit down and stretch the legs out and give them a little shake. Maybe move the feet side to side. Today in our practice, we'll focus some attention on the hips, but really overall whole body. And I'm bringing the legs up in front, and just a very gentle side to side little movement. Just feeling into your hip joints, your lower back today, just getting a sense of where you're at. Great. And then come back to the center, and we'll sit for just a couple of minutes. So if here you want to use a cushion or a blanket or a block to sit on, if you'll be more comfortable, do that. So find a comfortable seat. It could be on a chair or the couch. It could be on the ground as I am. And close your eyes for a moment. Tune into your breath. And as you start to come into this moment and bring your attention to your breath, feel yourself starting to settle. Feel your sit bones on your whatever you're sitting on, length of your spine growing tall. And take a moment to contemplate, is there something in your life you'd like to invite in? Is there a new habit, a new way of being? So rather than thinking about what you want to get rid of, what do you want to bring in? What do you want to invite into your life? And when you get a sense of what that might be, bring your hands over your heart. Take a moment to imagine yourself in that situation that you've identified, what you want to bring into your life. Imagine how you feel, what it looks like to have this in your life. Notice how you feel in your body as you contemplate this. Do you feel taller and excited to move into this new habit, or does it feel a little daunting, a little heavy, a little difficult? So just notice what comes up for you as you contemplate what you'd like to bring into your life. And then let's give that some energy. So taking a big breath in, reaching up, and then exhale. Bring it back to the heart. And again, big breath in. It's like we're energizing or bringing life to that thing that we want to bring into our hearts, into our lives. And again, breathing in. Exhale back to the heart. And one more time. So infusing this new habit, new idea, new quality you want to bring in with lots of life and energy. And then holding the hands at the heart for a few breaths. And then we'll come around to all fours. So from all fours, starting with any kind of movement, so it could be a side to side, just really tune into your body. So I'm feeling a lot of rib cage and abdominal tightness today. You might be feeling it more in your hips. So I'm doing a little side to side movement. You might want to stretch your back a little more. So just take a moment to explore whatever movement would feel good to your body here. If child's pose is a comfortable position for you, you can come to child's pose, resting your head on your hands or on the ground. Take a moment to see if you can experience and feel some expansion in the back of your body in child's pose. Feel as though maybe you're even inviting that new way of being, that new quality or habit that you want to bring in. That you're inviting it in with your breath, expanding it into your body. And then we'll come back up to all fours. And we'll take one leg and stretch it back, pointing the toes. And then flex the foot and bend the knee. Lift the leg a little. Good. And then turning to the side, bringing the knee up towards your shoulder. and then stretching back straight out, and then back into the shoulder, stretching out. You can exhale as you bring it in, inhale as you reach it out. Great, and then stretching that leg back so it's about parallel to the floor, and squeeze up through the leg. Toes point straight down, and then lift and lower just a bit. So just a little beyond parallel to the ground and a little lower. So you feel your hamstrings and your glutes working a little bit here. Great, and then let's bring that knee down and do a few circles with your hips, sending them back toward the heels and around a few times. Right, and then coming back to the center. If your wrists ever need a break, just take a break as you need it. Stretching back, point your toes, and then flex your foot, bend your knee, and then we're going to bring that knee towards the shoulder, exhaling, stretch the leg back out, inhaling, exhaling in, inhaling back. Good, you can hold there, and again, we'll go just a little above and a little below the height of parallel to the ground with the leg. Maybe it's a little lower for you. If it feels any strain lifting higher than parallel, then don't. And then bending the knee and bringing it in. And again, do a few circles. One way, then the other. Good. Let's come back to sit for a moment. Again, just sit however you're comfortable. Do a few circles for your wrists. One way and then the other. And give them a little shake and release. And then let's come back to this position that we were working with earlier, where the feet are a little wider than the shoulders, the hands are supporting behind, and we'll let the hips come down, or sorry, knees come down, one side and the other. So the more that you twist to the side, the more the opposite hip is going to lift up, and the more that shoulder is going to be asked to rotate back. So you can lift the arm from behind you if it feels better for your shoulder than keeping that arm anchored there. So side to side. If you start crawling forward, you can always press back. Great, now next time you come to one side, you want to make sure your legs are far enough apart that your knee is on the ground. You're going to take the arm from behind, use the other hand to lift you as you turn, and then you can take the hand that you released beyond the leg on the ground, press into both hands to lift up and turn into a gentle twist. Good, releasing. Come around to the other side. So your feet need to be wide enough that the knees come right down. If you feel tension in this knee, you want to lift that hip even more. Right? So if you have this knee down and the hip down, it's going to be a lot of strain on the knee. So that's why we're allowing the hips to be free here. You can take the arm from behind, you bring it around beyond the other thigh, press into the ground, lift up, and look behind you, away from the knee that's right there closest to you. Right, eventually releasing, turning back to the center. And give your legs a little shake again. And then bring the knees in. Here, you may find it helpful to raise your hips a little bit for this one. So if you have a blanket handy, or it could be a thin block or a firm cushion, not too tall, you just bring it right under your sit bones. So you don't want to be sitting too far back, just so the blanket is just there. And bring your feet in together, knees together. Wrap your arms around your knees or hold your knees, whatever works. Let your head come down, take a few breaths here. And then we're going to take a hold of the knees with the hands. Use a little bit of leverage, so you're pulling back against the knees to lift the chest up. Let the knees come apart, soles of the feet come together. Good. Lifting the chest, breathing in, and then knees come together, soles of the feet to the ground, rounding the back, head down. Inhale, expanding. Exhale, drawing in. Next time the knees come apart, we'll stay for a few breaths. Now, if you need to support your knees with cushions or blocks or whatever's handy, do that. Use your hands behind you to lengthen and lift your spine. So you want to make sure that the pelvis, as much as possible, isn't tilting back and your back is rounding. So you want to feel your pelvis level. So you're drawing the pelvis forward, pubic bone back. And if this is a good position for you, stay here. If you feel like this is not much stretch and you want a little more, you can bring your hands forward to the floor, to your feet. And hinge forward from your hips, not from your middle, not from your belly, so you'd be rounding, but from your hips. So the whole spine is coming forward, lengthened. Forward may not be an option. And if you find when you release your hands from behind you, you immediately slump back, then you probably need your hands behind you for some support. All right, let's take the hands to the knees. Bring the knees slowly back together. Great, and we'll move the legs straight out and give a little shake. For this one, you can either keep the whatever you've got under your hips there, or you can move it. It probably doesn't make a huge difference here. We're going to slightly bend one knee. Lean back a little. Bring the other foot, ankle on top of the thigh, just above the knee. And then you can slide the foot that's on the ground a little closer to you. Maybe walk your hands up and lift your torso a little taller. And look for a little bit of stretch somewhere in probably the outer thigh of the leg that's lifted, but you may feel it in the inner thigh as well. If you like, you can gently rock a bit. And then when you're ready, slowly release, undo, and we'll come to the other side. So find that sweet spot for you where it's just enough stretch to feel like something's happening, but not so much that it feels a strain at all. You can stay still or you can move a little bit. Great, and then let's bring the feet down and again stretch out the legs. So for the next one, I think I'm going to recommend to get rid of that blanket unless it helps you. For me, it's not helpful, but for others, it may be helpful. So before we were in this pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, right, where we had the feet right up close to the body and the knees to the sides. Now we're going to move the feet quite a bit away, so that the legs, I mean, if you move them further, the legs would have to straighten. So it's a big, wide diamond shape of your legs. You want to find that positioning. And then from here, again, you can use your hands to lift you up. And then again, we'll hinge forward now. You can bring your hands in the space between your legs and come forward. So it may be just a little forward here where you brace yourself against the ground with your hands. For some of you, it may be possible to hook your hands under so the palms would turn up and sort of hold the ankles, elbows come to the ground. That might be available to you. Head coming down. So this is a turtle pose, Kurmasana. Wherever you find yourself here, softening your breath and feeling yourself going into your shell. But we all need times of being silent, solitude, time to reflect, to make change. And as you are in your turtle position, whatever it looks like for you, coming back to that thing, if you've identified something that you want to bring into your life, just hold that in your thoughts, in your intentions, in your mind, as you come into this darker, quiet place of the turtle pose. And when you're ready to come out, you're going to lift your head and slide the hands out from under your legs if you've brought them under. You come upright, you can bring the knees together, stretch the legs out, and give a little shake. So this next one, you want to really move gently as we warm up the shoulders. So it's easy to lift the hips up for most people, but the position of the shoulders here is what's vulnerable. So you're gonna have the hands back. If possible, fingers are forward or slightly out, but ideally fingers forward, and hands are just behind your hips. And then from there, feet are just ahead so that we can lift up. So as you lift up, that rotation back on the shoulders gets more and more. So we're going to lift up and lower down, really honoring the shoulders and of course honoring the wrists, because this is also a lot of work for the wrists. So if this doesn't work for you, then you can always skip this one. So we're lifting and lowering. Right. If you want to add to this, if this feels pretty easy to you, you can try another option where you lift the hips, and instead of just sitting back down, you swing your hips back through your arms and swing forward. So my bum's not actually touching the ground. My arms are just long enough. Maybe yours are too, maybe not. Maybe you get here and bump down. Think of it as just something to have fun with. And then eventually your wrists are going to say, that's enough of that. Maybe they already did. So you can give them a shake. Let me do a few rotations here. And then we'll come to stand. So you can try this with me if you like. From cross-legged, bring one foot forward, and then you're gonna rock forward onto that knee. So I'm not using my hands. You could use your hands on the ground. I'm trying not to. And then from there, see if you can stand up. You can try it with the, you can try it going the other way as well. So if we do the same side, take the foot back. So back of the foot, and I'm gonna come down to my knee. I'm gonna sit back, and I'm back cross-legged. If I cross my legs the other way, in that weird way that feels strange and uncomfortable, same thing. The leg that's forward, I'm gonna bring the foot down. I'm gonna rock onto my knee, press into the top of the foot, and lift. You can try it going down. So top of the foot, coming down to the knee, sitting back, and you're back in your weird, unusual cross-legged position. So whichever way works for you. If it worked for you, maybe you needed to put a hand down, maybe two hands, that's fine. We'll once more. Come to stand. That's what happens when I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. So if that happened for you too, yay, we're in this together. So coming to stand, feet apart. And we'll circle the hips a few times here. one way and the other way. Great, and let's come back to the center, bringing the feet in underneath the hips, coming to Tadasana, the mountain pose. So feel your feet under you, especially weight into your heels so that your hips move back a little, your thighs drop, the abdominal muscles engage, shoulders drop, crown of your head lifting. And from here, reaching out, big breath in. And then exhale, releasing and add a forward bend. Bend your knees, come forward. Inhale, come all the way up. And big breath as if you're infusing energy into this new habit or new samskara that you'd like to bring into your life. Next time you end up in the forward bend, go ahead and stay if you're comfortable there. It could be elbows on the thighs, could be arms hanging or crossed, or any other position that works better for you. And then coming all the way up, breathing in and exhaling to release. Let's move into a sun salutation now. So you want to make sure you have enough space behind you to step back. And again, let's bring the hands together, this time at the heart, and reestablish that intention. What do you want to bring into your life as a new habit, as a new way of being? Knowing that changing habits is actually really hard work. And it needs a lot of energy and a lot of determination. So as we go through our sun salutations, keep bringing your attention back to this new habit, this new thing you want to bring into your life, and dedicate the effort to that. Well, let's take the hands and lift them, breathing in. As if we could take that intention and give it energy as you exhale, spreading out, bringing the hands down toward the feet or the ground. Inhale, find a lift in the heart. And then exhale, fold forward. We'll step back with the right foot. Coming into lunge, drawing the hips towards the center, so back hip forward, forward hip back. Sitting low with the hips, maybe bringing the hands up onto the front knee. And you can leave the hand on the knee of the same side and lift up with the arm that corresponds to the back leg. Bring both hands down. Let's step back to downward dog. Take a few breaths here in our first downward dog of the class. You can walk on the spot. And then we'll come down to all fours. Inhaling on all fours, exhale, move to child's pose. And again, we'll spend a few breaths in child's pose. Head on the hands or on the ground. Breathing into the space of the back of the body. So if we could expand our intention into ourselves through the breath. One more breath here. And then reaching the arms out, we'll come back up to all fours. Exhaling into downward dog. Taking a breath in and downward dog, and then exhaling to step the right foot forward. Squaring the hips, so it's just a little drawing forward of the back hip. Drawing back with the forward hip. You can bring your hands, if you like, this is optional, up to the front knee. The hand that corresponds with the front leg stays on the knee. Other arm lifting. And you can bring the hands down and we'll step forward. Inhaling to lengthen. Exhale, release. One more breath here. Let your head go. And then next inhale, coming all the way up, gathering that intention, compressing it, drawing it back to the heart, and staying there. When you're ready, inhale and lift. We'll come into another sun salutation. Exhale, sending that intention out all around you. Inhale, lifting the heart. And exhale to fold forward. You can step this time with the other foot. For me, it's the left. Good. You can either bring the hands up to the front knee first, or not at all, or lift all the way up into an extended lunge from the ground. Breathing here. Exhaling, hands down. Again, we'll step back to downward dog. Again, you can spend a few breaths here. And then coming to all fours. From all fours, again, make your way to child's pose. And use this time in child's pose not to daydream, but to really feel your breath, to expand your intention by bringing your focus to what you want in your life, breathing that into your body, breathing that into your cells, letting your body know, this is what I want, this is important to me. Committing to honor that. And then as you're ready, we'll stretch the arms out and come back up to all fours. Tucking the toes under and lifting up. From here, on an exhale, left foot comes forward. We're going to keep the hips active by squaring the hips. And again, you could bring the hands to the knee or overhead or leave them as they are. Coming upright if you choose. Breathing here. And then exhaling to bring the hands down, step forward. Inhale, find a lift in the heart. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, gathering your intention again. Compressing it and drawing it to the heart. Holding there. Okay, we'll come into another sun salutation and add a little bit of a twist this time. So taking a breath in, lift up. Exhale, releasing forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, folding. We'll take the right foot back. Again, squaring the hips. Bring your hands up to the front knee. Lengthen here. Just as we did the first time, we're going to keep one hand on the knee, the hand that's the same side as that leg. Reach the other arm up. Good. And then exhale. Take the hand that was up to the knee and bring the other arm behind your back and see if you can add a twist without losing your balance. The other option here would be to take the back arm back, forward arm forward, and reach out. So this is a little easier with a bit of support. It's a little more challenging. Good. When you're ready, turn back to the front, reach up. Exhale, hands down. We'll step back to downward dog. Take a few breaths here. And then to all fours. This time when we come into child's pose, we'll vary it by taking the knees wide. Toes can stay close together. Hips come back towards the heels. And your head, again, can be on the ground or on your hands. So if you want to be up on your elbows, that's an option as well. We'll breathe here. So now see if you can really let your belly go. If you want to rock a little bit side to side and just find some ease. So belly between the thighs. Lots of space for breath. And now breathing into the front and the back of the body, if possible, at the same time. Your belly expands, your back expands. Drawing that intention deeply in with your breath. This is really what I want. I want this a lot. I'm putting my attention, my effort into focusing on this new habit I want to bring in. When you're ready, you can reach the hands out, coming up to all fours, bringing the knees back in, and then moving into downward dog. Downward dog, really check in with your head. So it's very common, and obviously I can't see you, but I know from having taught thousands and thousands of classes, it's very common to crane the neck forward. So see if you can let it go here. And then with your next exhalation, we're going to step the right foot forward. Come into lunge, squaring the hips, bringing the hands up onto the front knee. So again, we'll keep one hand on the knee, the other arm lifts. We want to really lengthen the spine. And then you're going to bring that hand down across to that knee. Take the hand that was on the knee, either bring it behind you or you can stretch the arms out. And breathe. And turning back to the front, you can lift both arms, bring the hands down, and we'll step forward. Inhaling, lengthen. Exhaling to release. Come all the way up, gathering your intentions and bringing them back to the heart. Take a moment here to settle. And we'll do one more sun salutation. So again, taking that intention, lifting it and giving it life, sending it out into the world, being accountable for your choices, inhaling, lengthening. Exhale, fold forward. And taking the left leg back now. We're going to lower the left knee. Now, if your knee needs more support, you're going to bring a blanket under the knee. You're going to keep your legs exactly where they would be for lunge. So you want to be in that position where front knee is over the ankle, back leg is stretched behind you, but then you're going to rock your weight back onto the back knee so that your hip and knee line up. And then you can use your hands on your knee to lift yourself upright. So when you end up upright, your foot should be a little bit ahead of your knee. And then we're going to take the hand onto the knee that corresponds to that side. Other arm lifts up. And we're going to turn the whole body toward that leg. And if it's possible for you, bring your elbow down outside of your knee. If not, you can just rest it on your thigh somewhere. And then you're going to let your hips come forward into lunge. Bring your other hand, palm to palm, and then try to imagine a straight line from one elbow to the other elbow. And lengthen your spine with that little leverage against the leg. You have the option to lift the back knee if that's available to you. And when you're ready to come out of the pose, you're going to shift your weight back and release. Lift the arms up. And bring the hands down. Lift the back knee and step back to downward dog. Couple of breaths here. And then you can lower both knees. If you've got a blanket there like I do, you may need to move it out of the way. Breathing in, lengthening the spine. Breathing out, child's pose or frog pose if you like. If you like that position where your belly had a little more space, you can move the knees apart. And we'll spend a few more breaths here. Again, breathing into the back of your body, breathing into the sides of the body. Sending your intention through to your cells with your breath. From child's pose, stretching the arms out, coming back up to all fours. Tucking your toes, coming to downward dog. From here, we want to bring the left foot forward. And we're going to lower the back knee. Once you establish your lunge, you can lower the back knee. Again, if you want a blanket or padding, use it. As long as it's firm enough, if it's too soft, it can be quite wobbly. As you come upright, again, you want to make sure your foot is a little ahead of the knee so that when you rock forward into lunge, you're not having the knee come way past the ankle. So finding that position. And then from there, hand on the knee or thigh, same side, arm and leg, other arm lifts up. Really lengthen, turn your body so you can use the hand on the leg for a bit of leverage to turn the body. And then with a long spine, bring the elbow down, ideally outside the leg if you can reach, but if not, absolutely just onto the knee or even hand to the knee. From here, you can let the hips come down and forward. Bring the other hand to meet the hand that's against your leg or the arm that's against your leg. One line from elbow to elbow. And then maybe lifting up, squaring the hips, lengthening the spine, and breathing. When you're ready to exit the pose, you'll lower the knee if you've brought it up. You can shift the weight back and release the hands, lift all the way up. Exhale, hands down. Lifting the back knee again, we'll step forward. Head down. Take a couple of breaths here. Bend your knees, soften your spine. And then a lift in the heart as you breathe in. Exhale to release. Inhale and come all the way up. And bringing the hands together, gathering your intentions, bringing them back to the heart. And take a few breaths. Just let everything settle. And release. Take the feet a little bit apart. Soften your knees. And just give a little bounce. Let your arms go. Let your head wiggle and shake a little. Just letting go of the effort there. And then let's roll the shoulders. One shoulder goes back. The whole body twists. The other shoulder, let your head go. Right, you can switch directions in the other way. Wonderful. And come back to the center. You can bring the feet in so that you're in a comfortable position. Let's take the arms to the sides. Take a breath in. And exhale and cross your arms one over the other. Bring your hands to your opposite shoulders and then let your shoulders relax down. And take a few breaths into the back space between your shoulder blades. And this sort of opens the shoulder blades, but if you bring your head down and round your upper back a little more, it brings in a bit more space. You may need just a little bit more opening. You can do that. And then finding uprightness again. If you've come forward, release from your shoulders, bring the backs of the hands towards each other, and maybe come into the arms of the eagle. So for the arms of the eagle, we're here, you would just take that bottom hand, tuck it under, and bring it to the thumb side if that's possible. For a lot of people, it's not. It depends a lot on how muscular your shoulders are, how big your boobs are, how flexible your shoulders are. So you can just be here with the hands apart or together. And then little circles if that feels okay for you. So getting into the shoulder area, gardening season. That's definitely where I feel it mostly, but gardening, as I said earlier, gets the whole body. Great, so notice which arm is on top before you release. Bring your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, and draw the shoulders down and back. You can turn your head side to side or do a little half circle. Right, and then arms to the sides. Other arm on top this time. Give yourself a hug. Let your shoulders come down. Elbows relax down. If this feels like enough stretch right here, you can stay here. If you want to round your upper back a little, bring the head down. You can even do a little side to side movement with your hug to invite a little more space between your shoulder blades. And then from there, if you like, you can try the eagle arms. The backs of the hands come towards each other. And then from there, if it's available to you, you take the bottom hand, just tuck it under. I say just like it's easy. If you're there, it's easy. If you're not, it's impossible, right? So finding the expression of this pose that works for you, using a towel or a sock or a belt or something to hold the hands can help too. And then if you like, you can make some circles to get in and around those shoulder blades. And maybe you do a few circles the other way just for balance. Okay, and then releasing. Arms come behind your back. Interlace your fingers, lift the heart, and breathe. Here you can do some movement with the head again if you like. Could be that side to side like a tick-tock or a little half circles. If you choose a full circle, don't let your head fall back. Just bring it across the top of the shoulders. Great, and then when you're ready, release the arms. Bring your head back over your shoulders. Feel your heels sink down, hips over the heels, shoulders over the hips, crown of the head lifting. And from here, turn the palms forward, inhale and lift. As you exhale, I'm going to turn the palms back so they face the ceiling on the lower back. As you come forward, let your head release. So again, inhaling, palms rotate. They'll face each other overhead, and then they'll face the ceiling behind your back as you come forward. Do a few more at your own pace. Great. And then if you like, you can stay in that forward bend again for a few breaths. Right. And then coming all the way up, breathing in. Exhale to release. Take the feet a little bit wider now. And again, we'll come into a forward bend, breathing in. Exhale to release forward. You're going to bend the knees a little bit, and if you take your right arm, bring it behind your right calf, and bring your hand to the outside of your ankle. And then you can take the other arm, bring it in, bring it to the outside of your ankle, if this is available to you. Take a few breaths, drawing the knees in toward the shoulders, pressing out with the shoulders, letting the head release down. And you can release the arms, walk them out in front as far as you can reach. It's a wide-legged sort of downward dog. Let the head come between your arms. Pause there for a few breaths. And then we'll walk the hands back. So we're going to move to the right side now. Bend your right knee a little bit. Bring your right shoulder as close to your knee as you can. And I'm going to try to show this from the side. This is an interesting and somewhat tricky move. So if you can get your shoulder and your elbow under your knee, reach your arm back and bring your hand behind you. The other arm reaches up and see if you can find your hands. If not, that's okay. They might be nowhere near each other. And if this shoulder and elbow don't get under, there's nothing you can do, right? You're going to be stuck. So really just play. It might be just reaching to one side. It might be coming into that bind if that's available. But think of it more as fun than anything else. Coming back to the center. If you like, you can move back into that wide-legged downward dog position for a few breaths. And then walking back, we're going to do the other side. So I'm just shifting so that if you're watching the screen, you can maybe see what I'm doing. So you're going to bend the left leg now in that forward bend. Walk over toward that side. Try and get nice and low so your shoulder is right by the inner knee. Reach the arm back. And if it bends back there, if your elbow is free, your hand can come to the lower back. If not, you might just stay there and hold the foot. Reach over with the other hand or whatever works. Or you can try seeing if you can find your hands here. When you come out of the pose, one more time, you can either just kind of hang forward here or reach forward for a little bit more open stretch. And then wherever you are, make your way back to straight forward bend. Bend your knees a little. Release down, arms to the sides, and lift all the way up. Breathing in and exhaling to release. This is really challenging little series. So if you found it hard, if it was not possible for you, if you felt a little frustrated in that, know that that's probably not so such an uncommon thing. So that is a tricky move, and it requires a lot of flexibility in the shoulder and in the legs. So I hope that that was okay and that you were able to honor your shoulders and stop when your body said enough. We're going to come to lie down now. Coming onto your back, have your knees bent with your heels lined up more or less underneath your knees. You can just let the arms relax on the ground to the sides. Maybe turn your palms toward the ceiling so that the shoulders open and the chest gets a little more space. Come into your breath again. So after standing and doing some of those standing postures, the heart rate might have come up a little bit. So we're just taking a moment to come back to the breath, let everything settle, let go of the effort now of the pose, or not of the pose, of the practice. And then we will work with the most sort of slow, easy bridge pose. So not straining or forcing ever, of course. We're going to really take our time with this bridge. So start by putting a little pressure into your feet. Feel your lower back go down, feel your tailbone start to lift. Draw the chin in just slightly so the back of the neck is long. So you're feeling perhaps as though more of your spine is on the ground, right? So from the lower back to the upper back, of course, the neck will be likely lifted a bit, and then the back of the head. And then from there, just put a little more pressure into the feet, start to lift the hips a little more. And then very slowly keep that lift as if you're peeling the vertebrae one at a time off the ground, and you're taking as many breaths as you need to do this. So we're slowly lifting up. And when you finally get to the top of the pose, you can stay there. Think about reaching your knees away from your shoulders. Little pressure down in the arms, relaxed in the neck, the face, the jaw. And then start to reverse very slowly, placing the vertebrae one by one as you make your way back to the ground. As many breaths as it takes to get there. And when your sacrum finally comes to the ground, just completely relax for a couple of breaths. And we'll do that same bridge one more time. So pressing into the feet to begin with and drawing the chin in slightly. So we're really lengthening the whole spine along the ground. And then as you're ready, you'll slowly start to peel your spine off the ground. When you get to the top of the pose, stay there and just have the suggestion of length. Don't put a lot of effort there, but just imagine the knees reaching away from the shoulders, the crown reaching away from the shoulders, the arms reaching away from the shoulders. Expansion. And then turning it around to slowly release down. And when you get to the ground, just make whatever adjustments you need to be comfortable, and then bring your knees in, and we'll move the knees forward and back. Breathing in as you move the knees away, breathing out as you bring the knees in. A few more until you feel nicely released, even and symmetrical again. And then we're going to move next into Shavasana. If there is other movements that might be necessary for you to feel comfortable before Shavasana, then go ahead, take a minute or two. And as you're ready, you'll start to wind down, slow down, get comfortable. You can do this as a seated meditation or lying down relaxation. It's up to you. And taking your time, whatever movements need to happen, and then finding your way into whichever position is going to be best for you for the next, say, 5 minutes or so. So once you find stillness, you can start by tuning into your breath again. As you start to tune into your breath, see if you can soften the path of your breath. So soften your nostrils. Relax your sinuses. As the breath moves down the throat, feel your jaw release and your throat and neck relax. And let the weight of your head sink down if you're lying down. If you're seated, let the head balance over the shoulders with as little effort as possible. And then follow the breath down around the collarbones at the front of the shoulders, maybe into the shoulder blades in the back. Feel the breath in your chest, maybe into the sides and upper back. See if you can feel any movement of breath in your belly and lower back, maybe even into the hips and pelvis. And with all that space of the breath, breathe your intention in deeply into your body. That habit or some scar that you'd like to bring into your life, that healthy habit that's going to move you forward in a way that you want to move in your life. Breathe it in. Exhale, let your shoulders and arms now relax. Let go, release right to the fingertips. As you exhale, soften your hips a little bit more, thighs and knees release. Calves and ankles, feet, let go. Whenever we're undertaking a new venture or trying to create a new habit, it takes effort, it takes some willpower, some attention. And the chant today is about starting something new and having the energy to go forward with that. So as you listen to the chant, you might even breathe that in with your intention and feel yourself strengthened through the idea of moving forward with lots of energy. Om Gananantva Ganapati Gung Havamahe Kaving Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jishtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvanyutibis Siddha Sadhanam Shri Maha Ganapataye Namaha. Let your inhale get a little bit deeper now, not straining or forcing, but feeling that enlivening of the breath. And if you choose to stay longer with your meditation or shavasana, that's totally fine. If you're ready to move on with your day, you can start to bring in a little movement, moving any way that would feel good to you. And then eventually rolling onto your side and making your way to sit if you've been lying down. And if you're ready to move, and then once you find your way to seated, you can bring your palms together at your heart. Take a moment to really commit to your intention, maybe picturing yourself taking the first step to this new habit. Namaste. Have a great day.